making sure that my brothers' beds were made, their meals were cooled down before serving them, were some of my responsibilities growing up in South Africa. And my brothers were in their teenage years as well. I also want to tell you about my journey in leadership when I first came at Coady. In a society where men are only leaders, as a young girl, I resorted that I would be a great follower. A promotion in 2005 to coordinate an HIV/AIDS clinical trial in Durban. It was a moment for me to face up to my worst fears. I desperately wanted to shrug off my personality and assume a personality that screamed authority. But I was unable to do this. And that made me consider my quiet and introvert personality a liability in leadership. It took me 17 hours of flight from South Africa, my first experience of snow, 7 weeks away from home, to learn that actually my personality is not a liability, it's one of my strengths in leadership. Just as I arrived in snowing days in Antigonish, and now going back home in spring, so has been my journey in self-discovery at Coady. I learned about leadership that gives space to other people's ideas. I learned about leadership that all women have. I also learned about quiet power. Classes at Coady on gender and power took me back to my first history test at university in South Africa. My parents had sacrificed so much to get me to university, so I couldn't fail any test or any exam. After intensive preparation for a history test, I froze when I saw the first 2 words in question 1. And these 2 first words were critically analyze. Well, I decided to write what I had spent sleepless nights memorizing from the books anyway. And this experience led me to a quest to learn on how to analyze in life. At Coady, we had classes on the analysis of power in private and public lives. And this opened up my eyes to a deeper understanding of the world. The so what questions asked by one of our facilitators, Unens, they pushed us to the core of ourselves. The journey was not easy. Tears were shed. There were a lot of hearts, and there was also lots of laughter. Such moments built us as a community, but most importantly, as women leaders. A saying by Professor Gupta from Honeybee Network in India haunted me. The minds of the margins are not marginal. And this for me was in, this for me was in stark contrast of the way I have been doing my work back in South Africa in the communities. I have worked in projects where communities were not involved. Learning about working with people's strengths and assets rather than needs was a revelation for me. I realized that my work did not honor people's dignity. My work did not draw from their strengths. My work did not recognize their skills. The eyes of my mind and the eyes of my heart drew back in shame as it dawned on me that my well-meaning efforts had robbed women of their dignity. Coady gave me an opportunity to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. I learned that nobody has nothing. I learned about the greatness of humanity. I work with women survivors of violence in South Africa. And I've always looked at these women as powerless. Now going back home to South Africa to work with the group of women I've always worked with, we will look at what we have and what we can do and we will start with what is possible. I will never again look at women as unskilled people. I will learn from them. I will learn from them how they're taking care of each other. I will learn how they weather the storms in their lives, and I will learn how they build their communities. As we journey back home, we thank Coady for the wealth of knowledge and to help us look at our lives differently. We are also grateful for your generosity that made it possible to experience these life-changing moments. Nargis, one of our colleagues at Coady, once says, "A matchstick cannot light a fire if it does not get out of the box." with other matchsticks catching that fire, a blazing furnace is created. Just like that matchstick out of the box, so we will light fires of social change in our communities. We thank you for your support, for believing in us, and most importantly, for making a difference in our communities. Thank you so much.